Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Deb.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice.
All right, we have a public participation session. I'm assuming I have some public here that would like to participate.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm Melissa Warren, town resident, born and raised here, 40 years. This is Tom Casanos, as I'm sure you two gentlemen are aware. And I'm sorry,
I'm Paul Philbrook.
Paul Philbrook, yes.
And I'm not aware because I've never met him.
Okay, all right, that's great. So we were under the impression that Tom was coming here on his own behalf to have an opportunity to speak to the Selectmen about the back taxes on his property at 676. And in transit here, there's another post that's been put up online that, you guys have been in that building and you've got some education on here about medical cannabis that you shared with the community earlier. And you shared that, you're thinking about, as the town who owns this building, splitting it, 3 acres for commercial, 2 acres for towns. My thoughts, which I'm assuming to be your thoughts as you were the speaker, maybe it can be destumped. It's all destumped. That work was done by Tom, obviously, being the landowner. Maybe put a community farmers market in there because that's a discussion today. But when Tom was in here talking about paying his taxes, he was told he couldn't do that because the town owned them, and there was a meeting scheduled for tonight, which I got to watch on YouTube with the Boy Scouts, and how do they want to use that community center? Again, none of those discussions were brought to Tom as a taxpayer who's been in here repeatedly, and we've got documentation asking how to pay these back taxes on this property. So from our standpoint, we're now coming in here feeling, just a second, can I please finish? Thank you so much. We're feeling a little blindsided walking in here, and then I'm hearing Deb on the video, so she's now making statements and questions about it doesn't make sense to her either. So as a taxpayer, as a resident, as an employee of Thomas Casanos, the grandson of the original owners of Miners Dairy Bar that is now back open in Lebanon, Maine. Thank you to Thomas Casanos for putting in over $50,000 last year to that building for the upgrades, for the restaurant, giving the community that he has paid taxes in this community for over 14 years. Tom works very hard in this community. Tom is a very ethical, upstanding businessman. We do have documentation. We do have taxes. We do have a couple copies of cleared checks. More than happy to make copies of any of our documentation that you'd like to have today to show that he has been in here and made several attempts to pay his taxes. Why would he, for $1,300, lose a building that you are estimating now to be worth more than the $500,000? That's a question. Why would he lose a building for $1,300 and pay his taxes on every other building that he pays taxes on in this town? One of those buildings being a building that I grew up in, that's in a flood zone that he had to purchase under Spalding Fiber across the road because it's a flood zone. 3 Indian Lake Drive. So we do have a copy here that shows that he paid a check to the town of Lebanon for $1,300-something, which is where this whole thing originated back in 2015. A cleared check. It cleared, 10/27/2015. An honest, upstanding businessman isn't going to come in and say, hey, I owe you guys taxes, what do I owe? And be told, you know what? Don't even worry about that because we just assessed your business, and that tax bill that you're going to get in a day or two that's almost ready to come out isn't going to be accurate. Correct me at any point in this story if I am wrong.
You're on a roll.
Yeah, it's right, because my blood pressure is a little through the roof over this whole situation. Because Tom is a very dear friend of mine. I was involved in building that building in 2016. So off the record, if you'd like to have a conversation about why he lost so much money in that building in 2016, more than happy to do so. If you'd like to know why Tom was tied up in assets in 2017, you knew I was part of the planning board. You knew I worked at Paul's Riverside Diner, and I was the manager, and Thomas Casanos was the investor. Why would he be investing over $50,000 into a company that's falling down the drain to sit back and lose a building across the street to $1,300? The answer to that question is he wouldn't. But we have a lot of questions. A lot of questions, one being, why has he never been given an opportunity? And we know we're not going to get that answer today. But we also know that he has every right as a taxpayer to pay the town of Lebanon all the money that is claimed that he owes. And he has come in here with a check ready to pay, being told that he can't. So we can discuss those details later. And now he's being told, you know what? You don't even own this building. We've owned it since February, and we're going to inform you in June, and we're going to inform you the day that we're going to have a selectmen's meeting and bring in some little Boy Scouts and get their hopes up and tell them they're going to have a rec center. Then we're going to get one of the growers or one of the residents in there to give us a little walkthrough. Thomas Casanos and none of the other residents know what's going on. They're paying their rent. Why isn't there the town of Lebanon? If you guys have owned that building since February, why are those residents not paying the town of Lebanon? Why are you not collecting rent from Kenneth Hall, who's in the middle of an eviction process, through that house over there at 676? Those are awkward questions that I have as a taxpayer in this town. And now I know my taxes are going to pay for an unlawful, unjustified situation. As a taxpayer, I got issues with that. Living in this town since the day I was born, I have issues with this whole situation. And if the town of Lebanon does not want to admit that, you know what, let's just sit down and look at this. Let's just iron out where Thomas was a little confused with documents, dates, and times, and where the town of Lebanon was a little confused with dates, times, addresses, phone numbers, going over to a tenant and trying to deliver. Like, we can get into all of that. But all we're here to do, as we thought we were here to do, is say, how much do we owe to get this cleared up and deeded back to Thomas Casanos? But by the sounds of what I just listened to from 3 o'clock this afternoon, don't sound like you guys have any intent to do that. So explain to me how there's been 2 properties that Deborah Doherty just mentioned on this video. One of them, the town of Lebanon knows all about, but the other one, they don't know. And I won't even say who that resident is, although it is public information. They can roll up in and ask. So I do have that information right now, but it makes no sense to me as a taxpayer as to why this man can put in thousands and thousands of dollars, pay his taxes over and over again, but he ain't got an opportunity to come in here and pay his taxes and get them back like that other gentleman did.
Can I talk?
Yeah, sorry.
I'd like to take 2 minutes of your time, if you'll bear with me, to read you a little thing that I made up, because to me and a lot of people I've talked with, this is the essence of what this is about. And again, it's a little silly for a selectmen's meeting, but
it's not silly at all.
We got nothing else going, right? An old farmer has worked his farm his entire life and has sold out to retire to a warmer climate. He has been a good neighbor, always helped out friends in time of need, as generous as anyone can be. He sells out his farm and equipment, and the buyer pays him in cash. Everything he has worked for in his life is now in that paper bag full of cash. But something goes terribly wrong. As he is packing up his pickup truck to leave, he sets the bag down on top of the load of personal belongings in the back of his pickup, and loads a few items behind the seat. He forgets to grab the bag out of the back of the truck. As he travels down the bumpy back road, the bag bounces out of the truck and lands to the side of the road. It isn't until he arrives at his new home, several hundred miles away, that he realizes what happened. The bag could be anywhere in the road for hundreds of miles. He believes someone has picked up the bag and his life of retirement has just turned to disaster before it even started. In the meantime, back in his hometown, someone sees the bag and stops to check it out. When they see what is inside, they are shocked, and they start thinking about what to do with it. He knows that the person who lost the money must be devastated. He decides to check with the police to find out how to legally handle it. They inform him of the legal obligations and inform him that no one comes forward to claim the money, he gets to keep it. At first, he doesn't want anything to do with it. He just wants to find the rightful owner. However, as time goes by, he starts to think about what he could do with all that money, and as greed sets in, he feels less and less desire to contact the rightful owner. The legal requirements he has to meet are very simple. He needs to post a notice in a public place, wait a specific amount of time, and as the greed gets stronger, he thinks about how to do this absolute minimum he can so he can keep the money. But something happened to complicate the situation. He heard the story of his neighbor losing a bag of money that contained everything he'd worked for his entire life. Now he knows who the money belongs to and how to contact the rightful owner. But if he keeps quiet, he will legally own the money. Does he do the morally and ethically right thing and restore his neighbor's life by contacting him? Or does he get taken over by greed and justify his actions with fear because what he did was legal? Now, the reason I mention that story is because things have happened to me on this property. And I found in this town a lot of rumors and stuff go flying around that when you hear them, you're like, where did they come up with that? And when we first bought the property, we started doing the site work. I came in and applied for the building permit, and it got to be sometime late summer, and I went in and said, I haven't received a tax bill on this property. And this town clerk looked it up, and she said, well, we mailed the tax bill, but we mailed it to 676 Upper Guinea Road. And I said, well, that's not the legal address, so I didn't get it. Was it delivered? She said, no, it doesn't look like it got delivered because you're not living at that address, so the post office didn't deliver it. So I said, well, give me the details. How much is the tax bill? So what I did was took that amount, the tax lot number and stuff, and gave it to my bookkeeper and said, when you make the tax payments, because we have the other two properties, I said, make sure you pay this one too. So she did. The check got sent in, arrived on the 17th. And
17th, what date?
17th of October of 2015. Okay. So that was the 2015, the first half of the tax bill. So then what happened after that was I came in because we didn't get the tax bill again for 2015. Even though I had come in, I should probably got a copy that day while I was here, had him physically hand it to me, but corrected the address and said, mail it to our office. Because as most bookkeepers will tell you, you give me a piece of paper and it gets lost before I get to the truck. It never makes it to bookkeeping. So I have everything mailed to the bookkeeping. So that
Your office is where?
In Concord, New Hampshire.
Okay.
So we paid that right on time, just like all our other tax bills. Like I say, 14 years we've owned the other properties. We always pay the taxes on time. So I came in again in early October. I had to see Mike Bolio about something. And I had brought a check to pay the taxes with. And I don't remember the woman's name, that's the tax collector. She's always very nice. And she said, oh, the tax bills haven't gone out yet. She said, they're going to actually get mailed in the next few days. And I said, okay. I said, can I just pay it now? She goes, yeah, but your tax lot has been reassessed because of the new building you put on it. The tax bill reflects the old assessment. So we're going to mail you a new tax bill very shortly, which will have the new amount on it. So wait, don't pay anything today, wait until you get the new tax bill. I said, okay, fine. Now, at that time, I didn't know that the second half of 2015 wasn't paid because I didn't know that they had never corrected the address and mailed us the tax bill to Concord. She could have told me at that point, oh, by the way, while you're here, do you want to pay the 2015 taxes? It was never mentioned to me. So I had no idea that they were due. Also, there was a lien put on.
So you do know that. So then you did know the 2015 taxes weren't paid.
I didn't know at that time.
Not at that point in time.
I am confused. You have a canceled check that says that they were paid.
Well, the first half was paid because that's all it was due when I went in. It was October of 2015. So the second half is due in April of 2016. So I came in late summer of 2016 and I didn't even see the notice, but we had got a tax lien notice on the property, which was recorded on August 25th of 2016. And that wasn't, I didn't receive the notice, which was my fault, that I didn't see the notice. I wasn't told about it.
The notice was sent to the official address that you provided.
It was sent to according to what I've seen in the records, it was sent to that address, but it just didn't get given to me. So I don't know why she didn't tell me right then and there, well, we've executed a tax lien, you have some 2015 taxes. She never mentioned it. She said, we'll send you a new tax bill. So I asked at that time, can you send me a full accounting of the property taxes from my bookkeeper? All the stuff that's been paid, what's due, I said, because I never got the 2015 bill, and they're always hounding me for the details for the accountants and the tax people and all that stuff. And she said, yeah, I'll send you everything. A few weeks later, a month later, I'm not sure when it was, the new 2016 tax bill showed up with the new tax amount, which went from $2,600 to about $8,700 a year. No accounting, no nothing. I had told my bookkeeper, they're going to send you this information about all the taxes that are due, and you're going to receive it in a few weeks. Disregard the first tax bill. So the second tax bill comes in, there's no mention about any back taxes. So the bookkeeper doesn't know anything about any back taxes. Why didn't they send it? Well, they slipped up. They made a mistake, same way that I make mistakes. So what happened from that point going forward was, we were trying to pay other bills and stuff first. We started actually seek financing early part of 2017. I got into a what most people would deem as a bad business venture. It was not the grandson of the miners, my aunt and uncle.
Oh, my apologies. Yes,
Yeah,
you should correct me.
Ernest and Madeline Miner. When we were young kids, teenagers, we would come over and help them in the dairy bar. Our family had a similar business in Concord, New Hampshire. And we worked in that, and if one of their kids was sick or my uncle was sick, we would come over, we would spend 2 or 3 days, we'd live at their house, and we would eat hamburgers and french fries and all that good stuff for dinner and lunch and breakfast. So we had a history of the property. So when I was approached by somebody that said the current person that's trying to run the business is days away from losing his house to foreclosure, they've shut off his electricity, he's behind on the lease payment, and that's going to be terminated. Do you think you'd be interested in going in and helping out? I'll skip to some of the details because we didn't get accurate information, or a different decision probably would have been made. But essentially within 90 days, I had sunk $65,000 into that business. The former owner gave him money. He paid his house mortgage up current, turned his electricity back on. He still has his house, still has a roof over his head. And I lived up to my end of the bargain because we had made the bargain, but I could have walked away from it because, like I said, the information wasn't accurate that we were given. A couple other people kind of went in on with us to help run it, help get it turned around and straightened out. They really didn't have any money, so it all came from my end of it. My brother volunteered. He's retired. He volunteered his time. He probably worked 20, 30, 40 hours a week all summer long, just cleaning the place up and fixing it and trying to get it good condition and get different cooks. And by the end of the summer, we had a good clientele. People enjoyed coming back, and we had plans for the future, of which part of it was in getting financing for this property was to buy the restaurant from who we leased it from and to dump another $100,000 into putting it back into good working condition. So, yeah, we were distracted, with what was going on. I'm seeking financing. And if you've ever tried to finance a marijuana business, it's not easy because the banks can't touch it, And I heard something you said earlier about selling it to an investor. Somebody would have to have the cash in hand because there's not one financial institution that can lend the money because of federal laws. So that was taking time and going slow.
Credit unions can't they?
What's that?
Credit unions they can take money from the
They
operations.
can take the money, but they can't finance it. If they get FDIC or FSLI insurance, they can't finance
Unless it's an
anything.
in-house mortgage, in which case they could, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, I've inquired at lots of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no,
I haven't had one say yes.
No, I know about the federal regulations.
Yeah, we've been seeking private financing, and that you can do, but your interest rates go from 5, 6%, 7% to 16%, 18%, because they know they got you. You can't go anywhere but to them.
Yeah.
So you want to borrow their money, then you're going to pay the price. It's a crazy business. I built and designed. If you saw the inside, it's designed for caregivers.
If you saw, he did. He went
No,
in yesterday
I
morning.
don't know if he
Did
was
a little
one.
education today.
But it's all built to specs by state law so that they can't go overboard. They can't do things outside the limits of the law. I have a strong belief in the medical benefits of medical marijuana. The recreational, I care nothing about. Not anything I have a passion about. I have family members that had epilepsy so bad that they had no life, and with treatment through Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital with medical cannabis, they went from having 10, 12 seizures an hour to 1 a day. And virtually no side effects because they take the THC out of it, so they're just basically getting everything else in the CBD oils. So the reason I want to do it was not so much that I was going to get rich doing it, but there was no facility where caregivers could get out of their basement, where they had mold and mildew problems and just, it was extremely difficult. We built a facility. We could make some money doing it. We thought we'd maybe in 3 years to 5 years, we would make enough to pay for the building. If things were going well, we'd build a second building. As you know, in the cannabis business, the prices have gone from here to somewhere down here. So it's harder and harder for the caregivers to be competitive, to actually make a profit. Our rents have gone from here to there to help them because, I'm not going to force them out of business because that's not what we're there for. So that means that the payback is much, much longer. Mm-hmm. So what happened was there was confusion. You get a tax bill from the town of Lebanon, and it says right on there that this is the current tax year from this date to this date, reflects no previous tax bills. And it's the only tax bill that I've ever seen, and I've seen a few, and attorneys I've talked with have never seen one, closing guys have never seen one that doesn't tell you what the arrearages are on the property. So that's kind of unique here. Had that information been on there when we got the new 2016 bill, then the bookkeeper, despite any mistakes I made or they made, would see on the tax bill that, oh, by the way, you still owe $1,300, from 2015. $1,300, if I know it was due, if I didn't have the money, I would go to the bank with my credit card, take out $1,300 and come pay it. So I believe when I came in and learned that the property had been tax deeded, I talked with Jordan, and I still don't know his last name, very nice young man.
Patch.
Miles, yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
He said, look, I went down to the property and I was told you don't live there. He said, it's not a residence. I tried to call you. I said, well, you must have known something was wrong because it's a $1,300 tax bill. He said, yes. He said, something was wrong. He said, I tried to call you. So he goes on the computer screen and my cell phone number is 731-0196. And when I gave it to the town clerk, she put in 731-1096. I said, well, Jordan, I said, it's on my building permits. It's on my driveway permit. You know that I own the Spalding Ave Industrial. I'm your emergency management contact for the dam if there's a high water problem. I said, I've been called before, from the town. I said, so it's in the building all over the place. I said, couldn't you just go over there and pick up the folder and call them and say, hey, Tom, what's going on? How come you haven't paid these taxes? And I would have said, what taxes? What do you mean? I owe you $1,300 from 2015. So how is it fair to me to get wrong information, come in to pay the taxes, and I wasn't even told I owed 2015 taxes, and then to walk away thinking that, well, I must not owe anything else, the bookkeeper must have paid the second part of it, and then not to be informed of it. I missed the notice in January of this year. It arrived at my store in Concord. The store in Concord is a wood stove business. We did that for 38 years, delivering and installing wood stoves, climbing on roofs, liners down the chimney, no matter what the temperature is outside or how much snow is on the roof. In what year is this?
2018.
Roughly 4 years ago, I had 99% blockage in the main artery. So I went in the hospital with a little bit of chest pain. I delivered 3 wood stoves that day and got out of breath. So I said, I better go get this checked out. I don't like that pain because they tell you not pay attention to those things. So I was in the hospital for a week, had double bypass surgery, and was told, no more stove business, no more climbing roofs. The medication's going to make you dizzy. You don't want you falling off a roof. So after working 6-7 days a week at that, plus running the building over here in Rochester, I had to walk away from the stove business and let my kids take it over. January is a very busy month, very tough month. So one of my sons signed for it, probably put it on my desk, probably put it in a mailbox thing, never told me I even got it. I come over here at 7 in the morning. I get home 7, 8 o'clock at night, Monday through Saturday. Sunday, I get to do the honey-do list. And I didn't see the notice. That was my mistake. So legally, the reason I mentioned this story, legally, you met the letter of the law. But if you knew who owned the property, you knew how to get hold of the person that owned the property, and that you were going to devastate everything he's worked for 40 years by taking his property away for $1,300 in taxes, isn't it morally and ethically the responsible thing to do to make an effort to call the person and say, hey, you're something's wrong. You pay all your other taxes. What's going on with this property? Now, the people we've talked with have said that most towns are reasonable. But what I'm wondering is, are you being reasonable or are you being greedy? I mean, are you seeing for short money, we just got a piece of property for the town that's worth $500,000, $700,000. We really don't care about Tom Casano. We really don't care how hard he worked to build the place. Because when we were building it, I was there 18, 20 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, running the equipment, doing the digging, doing everything possible. But now that you actually know the person behind it, would you consider saying, hey, there was mistakes made on both ends. Let's let the guy walk in and pay the taxes up current and say, we made mistakes. We could have done things different. He should have done things different. But in the end, the morally and ethically right thing to do is to restore the equitability of the situation. It's not uncommon for towns to do it. It's not uncommon, particularly if there's some issues like confusion on tax bills and coming in to pay it and being told not to pay it, that could raise a big stink. And I don't want to tout my own horn, but I better, because I'm in jeopardy of losing a piece of property that's going to devastate me. When somebody comes to me, and there's several farmers in the territory, particularly last summer, it was 2 summers ago now, we had the severe drought. And we've got a deep well over there at Spalding Ave. They used to produce 250,000 gallons of water a day when they had a paper mill. So we have plenty of capacity because it's in a big spring right next to the river. They call up and say, hey, we hear you've got water. We're going to be wiped out if we don't get some water. I put a special hose out front, and I say, there might be a line, wait in line, take all the water you want. I don't care if you come at 3 o'clock in the morning, just take what you need. When somebody calls me up and says, hey, can we use your boat launch out back? We don't have a boat launch on the Lebanon side, but we hear you've got a boat launch out there. Anytime you want. Just tell them you talk to Tom, you've got permission to use the boat launch. You don't have to ask again. You just tell them it's okay. I said, don't leave any trash, no beer bottles, that type of thing. Be respectful. Always nice people. Everybody's, they're just great people. I work with the people over to Indian Shores Association about regulating water levels and try to, make it as good as possible for them. If somebody, well, you probably all know Zeke, he's former building inspector. He's right across the street. If I'm working and Zeke comes over, he says, I need the dump truck, here's the keys, go. He came over, I bought an excavator from him, then he decided he needed an excavator, and I said, just take mine and do what you need to do. Don't worry about it. You need help pouring a concrete, we're there. So I'm the type of guy who helps everybody else as much as possible. When the former owner got in trouble, we wanted to help him because I didn't want to see somebody lose their house because they tried to run a food business and really didn't have the financial resources behind them. But to treat everybody else fairly and then to be treated what I consider to be extremely unfairly just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't add up. And again, you never met me before. You wouldn't know me from a hole in the wall. You wouldn't know if I was some murderer from Boston that relocated up here, or if I was a local guy who's been here for 50 years, takes care of friends and relatives. Guy needs flags for the cemetery, I go buy the flags. Give them to him, go put them on the veterans' graves. In Concord, where I've lived there since I was 10 years old. I run the Christmas parade, been on that parade committee for 38 years. I run the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, been on that since they started it. I run the Old Home Day in Dunbarton. I run the parades in Dunbarton. I was president of the Dunbarton Garden Club for 4 years. You're only supposed to do it 2. They had a special election because they wanted me to stay on for 2 more. We get things done. We run the food booth at the Old Home Day. We run Arts on the Common fundraisers for the town hall. That's the type of people we are. We're not some distant guy who moved in from Colorado that wants to take advantage of the land in Lebanon. Spalding Ave Industrial is the survivor of the old Spalding Fiber Company. Mm-hmm. Spalding Fiber Company has been a taxpayer since 1899, and we took over from the Tillotson Company. So basically, our company's been paying taxes for like 125 years in this town.
And I know the Spalding Company donated tons of money to Lebanon because they owned property on the other side of the river as well. And they were a very philanthropic. They gave away millions. They built the Spalding High School, gave it to the city of Rochester. They built 2 in Vermont, gave them to the towns they were in. You know, they were that kind of people. When I took over the building over there, my goal was to take this abandoned old factory building, revive it, get tenants in there that employed people, get jobs going. It didn't go so well after 2004 to 2008, and then there was a big crash and we started all over again. Now, for about a year, we have the building 100% occupied. We have 75 to 100 people working in that building. The city of Rochester is thrilled with how many jobs we've brought in. We've done it the old-fashioned way. A business is a startup. We come in, we take the guy under our wing, we help them get started, we show them how to do things so that they don't, go out of business before they get started. We do all kinds of stuff for them that they don't pay for because they need our help to get their business going. And that's what we want to do, is make them successful. If they're successful, they pay the rent. We have not all of them have been successful, so we've taken it on the chin more than once. When we built the building over here, it's designed for 5 or 6 caregivers. Most of those caregivers have 10 or 12 patients. Sometimes they employ 1 or 2 people, at times when they need the extra help. So, we created 5 to 10 working positions. They're taking care of, well, I guess let's say you can have up to 35 patients. You're talking about 100, 30.
Well, there's a lot of
6
stuff
patients.
changing right
So you're
now.
talking like,
I thought it was only 5 or 6 patients.
There's a lot of stuff changing
5 or
right
6
now,
patients and then 6 plants per patient.
Yeah.
I don't do the caregiving part. I just fix the air conditioners when they break.
Yeah, I think it's only like 1 person per tenant. I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 people employed there, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, they can bring in temporary help when they like to do a harvest or trimming or something. They can bring in people for temporary.
They can hire an employee.
But we created jobs. We found out things about the property. After we owned it, we bought it in the wintertime and there was 4 feet of snow. So when we found out that there's a lot of water on the property and the water table, if you dig a hole 2 feet deep, it fills a foot high with water. So we didn't put in a septic because it was too expensive to put in a pump-up septic system. We didn't want people really using the bathroom. We wanted them to come work their 4-hour shift and go home. Mm-hmm. We have strict rules. Nobody's there after 11 p.m. There's no vehicles. There's no noise. There's no visitors. Any one of the neighbors will tell you that they didn't even know there was anybody in the building because we run it that tight. And it takes that kind of control. I'm the worst person to come down on tenants and enforce rules.
Say that again one more time. Please say that again one more time.
But when it comes, if I have an issue over there, I respect the neighbors. Like I say, Zeke's a friend of mine. I walk right up and I say, those aren't supposed to be there. Get this trash out of here. What are those barrels doing there? Put them back in your unit or haul them to the dump because we don't want it to become unsightly. We haven't finished a lot of the landscape stuff because we just ran out of time and money. So we're kind of shoveling against the tide to get in there and finish things up. But I just wanted you to see that I'm a fair person. I'm a reasonable person. I'm a confused person because I don't know how this even happened. I think the tax collector got confused on some of the stuff with the new tax bills and the assessment date changing and don't pay this tax bill, wait for the other tax bill. I had a check in my hand that this taxes would have been paid that day, but she was talking about the tax changing and just didn't look back to see that, oh yeah, you still have this one here. I don't even think she went to that computer screen. She was very emphatic about telling me that don't pay the bill you got coming because it's going to change, and they did a reassessment, and I was like, okay, I understand, fine.
But had they used the computer, though, in October when he come in, they would have seen, oh my gosh, that check you have right there, Tom? Why don't you write that for this much money and we can revoke the lien that we just put on 2 months ago?
So, mistakes on my part? Yes. Mistakes on the town parts? I believe so. Is it fair and equitable to let us pay the taxes right up to date, give us back the property, and say, you made mistakes, we made mistakes, let's start over? I believe so. And I think that's the fair and reasonable thing to do. The tax code in the state of Maine, every other word is fair and reasonable, fair and equitable, fair and this. And I think that's how you have to approach it. Is it fair for the town to take the property and profit off my loss, they can. It's not fair. And I'd say a number of people I've talked with, 8 or 9 out of 10 are furious with what the town has done with my property. And they are just, they are no angrier than Melissa.
It's a matter of being fair. And, from my standpoint as a taxpayer and for somebody who, I grew up in this town, when it comes, Tom telling a story about medical cannabis, I didn't know that about him. I was a business owner in this town of several years, and I was unjustly treated. We lost our business, relocated to Tom. That's how Tom and I became connected in 2016 or 2000, and that was actually before that point, but anywho's. So Tom got into medical cannabis for his reasons. You couldn't even show me a cannabis plant, and I would know what that was at the age of 35, okay? I'm 40. I learned about medical cannabis when my sister got sick, and I had 2 car accidents, and I was not going to be put on pills and get addicted. I understand from my family standpoint what drugs do to a community. And medical cannabis, it's not a drug. As Tom said, it treats epilepsy, and I'm sure every other caregiver and the caregiver that graciously took you through his grow to give, the community a little bit of education will agree. Medical cannabis helps tons of people. And yes, that building was intentionally built to be a medical facility. He's not sitting here saying it wasn't. So to answer that question, it was.
Never designed as a pig barn.
Again, no, I'm just.
Rumors and speculation. And
that was the word on the street.
Right, word on the
That's what I
street.
heard.
But I don't think there's an issue about medical cannabis. I don't know why we're having a discussion about medical cannabis.
Well, I just
because
wanted to know.
There's been prior things that have been said at different meetings with the use of the building.
What does that have to do with medical cannabis?
Medical cannabis being the use of the building?
Some people were against it.
Well, some people in town are, some people aren't.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not an issue.
So at the end of the day, it does come down to fairness and ethical. And is it fair of a town to not have taken the time with a taxpayer who's tried several times to come here and clean things up? No, that's not fair.
So
is it fair of a
town?
town?
Can we address anything, or are we going to just sit here and?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just asking. We'll sit here for another hour and you guys can go. But you guys throw all sorts of stuff at us and we haven't had a chance to respond yet.
Yep. No, go right ahead. We came to have a conversation, and so a conversation has to go 2 ways.
True story.
So, again, I don't know you. I don't know the facility. I don't know. Yeah, it was my idea about a community center, but that happened after we foreclosed. We all believed somebody was going to come in to pay it. The state, so foreclosure rules are guided by the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even by your own admission, we follow the law. Part of that law that the state has is that we have to have contact. We have to reach out. We have to do X amount of contacts and letters. And so you had 3 years of taxes that were tax liened on. Okay, which means you would have had got to at least 1 notice for those tax liens in 3 different years. But you're not going to have a tax lien in 17. We don't foreclose in it. We foreclose in the last one.
Right.
So by your own admission, you paid for the first payment in 15, but you haven't paid taxes since. That's 3 years of taxes that haven't been paid.
Yeah.
I would know if I didn't pay property taxes.
3 years. You foreclosed on it halfway through the last year, so that's 2.5. We paid the first half of the tax year.
Well, the tax year is 2015.
So I don't know what we're discussing.
The second one was due in April of 2016.
Right, so it's the
and
tax
if you go
year.
by that date to when you foreclosed, it was 22 months. So
Again,
we weren't
it's
3 years
it's
behind.
based on-
It was 22 months.
It's
But
based-
based on the
it's based
technicality
on-
of the state
Based
law.
on tax.
Yeah.
So again, the selectmen don't do that, and I mentioned before. The selectmen don't make a motion. This is all done by the state and by the law. And so the treasurer has X amount of date on this date, whoever hasn't paid, he has to send out his notices. And the treasurer, and I know one of the selectmen, Paul Nadeau, they went out and they posted on people's doors. They tried to reach out. He tried to reach out to you. Is it his fault that the wrong number was in the computer? I don't know. It's not his fault. He didn't put it there.
No, he didn't put it there.
He made.
But he knew where to find me, and
Well,
he knew the number was elsewhere in the
That's
building.
what you said. But I'm saying if he put in the number.
Did you just say that's what he says?
Yeah.
I mean, do you have like 30 seconds to go look for his building permits and stuff and prove that his number is 3 other places in this building?
But when I
Like, legit.
When I can pull up a number on the computer, on the property file, why would I go to a building permit?
Well, if you got the wrong number.
When the building permit is in question of still finding out if he was overcharged for it, that would be a good answer.
And when you send out notices by law that the people have received, when you send out certified mail that the person signs off on, okay, so they've received it.
Received signed.
So again, a call isn't by law. That was an extra step that he took.
Yep.
Going to the property and posting a note on the door is not by law. That's an extra step. So those are the extra steps that he did. So was he attempting, and was the town attempting to be as fair and equitable as possible? Yes.
Well,
and then,
really?
No,
that's your opinion. But
again, that is your
and
opinion.
then, after the foreclosure, another letter went out that you have a 30-day grace period.
when did I get
We
that?
got a copy of that, Tom.
We
We're
do?
not debating. We're not
So
debating
again, that
the.
went to the property that
We're
I
not
just-
debating the paperwork. We're not debating the timeline. We're not debating the notices.
So can I speak, or are you going to interrupt me?
You keep talking about something we're not debating. The question is, the town of Lebanon going to be fair and allow Tom to pay his taxes back? It's a yes or no question.
Let it speak.
And we're going to talk about timelined letters that we're not debating.
So the notice was sent.
It's right here, Tom.
Okay, you talked about a story. Okay, you talked about all the person that found the bag of money wanted to do was contact the rightful owner. Okay, the town contacted and reached out to the rightful owner many times. You sent notices to the address of record on your deed and in the file. Okay, I feel sorry that you didn't get them. I feel sorry
I
that
disagree with that
circumstances-
statement and that one too.
Okay, you could be that way if you want. But again, when does the town, is it after 4 years of no payment of taxes that we then say something? After 5 years? After 10 years? When does the town do something? So the state says 3 years is the number. It's not the town, the state says that.
Yeah.
The town has a law. A law is a referendum that the town passed by a majority vote that says any tax acquired properties must be sold by a public, keyword public sale. Could I have you come in and pay the taxes today and give it back to you? I can't.
You can't?
It's
That's a
against-
lie.
just-
That's a statement,
just
blatant
did it.
statement lie. You just did it. There are 2 taxpayers on a video. I don't even want to get myself worked up because let me tell you what. You are recorded from a meeting today at what was it, 1, 3 o'clock, who knows, let's change the meetings, stating, am I like making things up? Was he not in a meeting earlier stating that there were 2 properties in 2018 that were taken back? 2 properties in 2018 that were taken back. You knew the name of one of them being Thomas Casanos. You didn't know the name of the second one.
That's correct.
Okay, so that is correct. So you can't sit here and say that it's incorrect of the town of Lebanon to allow Tom to come in here and pay his taxes and give the property back because if it happened to 2 people,
It didn't happen to 2 people.
oh my head.
You're confused.
Am I really?
Yeah,
We
go
were-
watch the
Okay.
video.
We were told that.
I said we
One of the-
foreclosed
Right.
on 2 properties.
One was allowed to go back to the rightful owner after he paid his
I never
property
said that.
taxes.
Go watch the video.
I know
you didn't
it.
say that, but
The attorney that we called before coming to
Go
this
watch the video.
meeting gave us the name of the person
Go
who
watch
was.
the video.
No, he didn't say the other person.
I know he did. No, I'm saying that person got his property got his taxes back
Within 30 days.
within 2018.
Within the 30 days.
In 2018, the town
Was
of.
it within the 30 days?
I have never got.
I'm not getting into
that
his
30-day
history
limit.
and his.
Well,
That's
why
him.
can't you answer that?
Why can't you answer? Can the town of Lebanon selectively say this situation needs to be looked at?
We didn't selectively.
So you are saying the town of Lebanon is not going to give Tom an opportunity to look at these taxes with the tax assessor and see what's due and write a check, including the fees the town's going to have to pay for the attorneys. Town of Lebanon's not going to do that?
You're obviously
Very close to the situation? Yes, I am.
In an agitated state. If you can't calmly talk about this,
Okay.
then you can rant and rave, but I'm not going to respond.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to have a shouting match.
I apologize.
It's just not worth it. But I'm here, I'm a select person. If you want to rant and rave and scream and yell at me, at us, go for it. I will listen, but I'm not going to respond. So it's up to you.
My apologies, but I'm a little frustrated with listening to a video. Coming here. We were coming here with a check. We're coming here to pay the back taxes. He has just been given an opportunity to come and be heard, but his opportunity is null and void because of all these meetings and things that happened prior to. So all we're asking for.
He had 3 years to pay his taxes.
It's 22 months behind, it's not 3 years.
Again,
Okay,
by
we'll
state
just
law,
see
by
what
tax
tomorrow.
year, it was 3
Yeah.
years. Okay, we can argue the whatever
I
number of
understand,
months.
but when you say 3 years, it
That's-
wasn't 3 years, it was
It was the
22 months.
2015 taxes.
Second half of 2015.
Okay, so I mean,
Now-
all I'm saying is that there was still that 2.5 years if we wanted
Yeah,
to.
can I ask you a question? You said something about you get 30 days.
So the town in the past,
Yeah.
okay, has after they foreclosed on a property, they have given the previous owner. So we've already closed, we already own it. They have given the previous owner a 30-day period to buy it back for the entire period of time.
And they send you notice that they
And they
foreclosed?
send a notice, you get a foreclosure notice anyways, and they send you a notice that you can then buy it back.
I didn't get that foreclosure notice.
Again, it was sent to the same address we've been sending everything else.
I got a copy of everything in the file and that's not in
And
there.
there's no requirement that we do that. That's not a state requirement. That's again, another step that the town has gone
Right,
beyond.
but you said that they send me a notice of foreclosure and an opportunity to buy back, but I never got that
You
opportunity.
can say that, but I'm just saying is that we send it. And you got everything else that we sent to
Prove
that
it.
address.
Do you have proof that
Can
you
you go
sent
and
it?
get
It's
the
not
file
our,
and
it's
show
not
us?
our, we didn't send it certified. We don't have to do that.
Do you have a copy of the letter in the file? I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't given it. I asked to see it.
I'm pretty sure the letter
Oh,
sent.
I'm positive is now I'm pretty sure.
You
That's
just-
awkward.
Well, you
That's
just said,
awesome.
you just said you had the letter.
We have a copy of everything that was in the file.
You just
Tom
said you
came
had-
here.
But you just said you had the letter.
And he's telling you he doesn't have it because he came here to get a
So
copy of what was.
Do you have it or not have it?
I don't have it. I've read every
But you
piece
have
of mail.
No, that. I just handed him a notice of 30 days. You can smirk at me all you want and all you want. The bottom line is we're here offering to write a check and ask the town of Lebanon to relook at this situation on the 2 properties. And you're going to sit here.
On 2 properties.
Anyway, one person was given his property back. We're asking for Tom to be given that same
Well,
opportunity.
he probably did it within the 30
Maybe-
days.
maybe
again,
so,
if
but
the-
I mean-
If the property was given back, again, I'm
So-
not aware of it.
So let me ask you a question. If that letter wasn't sent, or was sent to some apple tree in a pasture somewhere that wasn't my address, would I be given the opportunity, if you looked at it and said, we never sent him notice of foreclosure? I found out about it 2 weeks ago when I walked in, and they said, oh, the town acquired that property. And I said, when? February. I said, were you gonna tell me about it?
Awkward.
Again,
Yeah.
it
So-
may be awkward, okay?
Yeah.
But again, by state law, notices were sent to your record. We have a sign that the certified letter, which was at the
No,
end.
I understand all
Was
that. I'm
received-
just saying that
Not arguing that.
when you send me things saying that you would have 30 days to buy back, if you didn't give me that opportunity,
But why
Give it
didn't
to me
the,
now.
but why didn't the certified letter? Why didn't the tax liens?
that's not what I'm asking.
No,
I
but
didn't
you
get
can't, you can't answer that.
No, they didn't get forwarded to me. That was my fault. But I'm saying you give the other
So let
people
me ask you a
30
question.
days, and if I didn't get that 30 days, then give it to me.
So let me ask you a question, and again, it's a rumor that's out there, and so we might as well throw rumors out on
Talk
the
about
table.
rumors.
Okay, are taxes current on the Spalding property?
That's an awkward conversation too, that you guys had a discussion about the property taxes.
Just, I mean, I can call it Rochester, it's probably
Maybe you should
public,
have done your
but
investigation before you
just
guys
asking.
spoke
I'm
of it.
asking straight out
We have an
because-
agreement on the taxes of Rochester.
you have an agreement, so they're not current.
They're not current.
Okay.
That was part of a tax incentive funding when we bought this big old empty building. And I missed the payments on it, partially because of getting involved in the diner.
Okay.
So they foreclosed on that. We came up with a new agreement. Now we're paying the tax incentive funding program in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yes, we are in agreement. They are back taxes because that was part of, you take an old mill building like that and you often get a city
So
sponsored.
they foreclosed on it?
Yeah.
Okay, did
Yeah,
they,
you had an
did they
opportunity
give
to
you
come
a
for the
chance to
payment.
buy it back?
Sure did.
Okay.
Sure did.
Yeah,
And again, that's Rochester, not here.
Yeah. Well, New Hampshire's laws are different too from Maine laws.
Yeah. Good.
But
So
I'm
again,
just,
I
I haven't seen that letter, and if they did send it, I'd like to see where it got sent.
again, I mean,
If
we
I
have,
wasn't given the opportunity, then give me
Again-
the same opportunity you give everybody else. Give me the letter that says we foreclosed on your property, you got
and
30
again,
days.
you just heard me today.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really referenced this before, which is why this only came to me, to light, within the last couple of days when I looked about a public sale, because there's a question, could we do a private sale? Which a private sale would be to you. And that was the question, and which has caused me to research the referendum. The referendum clearly states public sale. Okay? You can yell at the town all you want. Trust me, the town has talked to our legal department. Before we even went forward, we made sure that we did this process correct. We made sure that we dotted the i's, crossed the t's, gave notice, followed the state law. And we went over and above the state law. Then we more than we had to.
Yeah, I agree.
The fact that we gave a 30-day notice afterwards, like I said today earlier, perhaps violated the law. Because the law, which is what the people of this town voted for, was for it to be a public sale. Now, did we violate the law if we gave this guy, let this guy buy it back within that 30-day period? We might very well have. Okay, so does that mean I should then continue it now that I know that that's violating the law? I don't think so. And for you to suggest that I should continue to violate the law is probably not morally correct. So
you'd have to talk with the attorneys.
It may be to your convenience, yes. But again, you're now asking me to willfully break.
We're not
the
asking
law.
you
No.
as an individual.
I mean,
we're asking the selectmen as individuals in the town of Lebanon.
To willfully break the law.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're just informing me of this information too, so I wasn't aware of it until you said you just found out a couple of days ago, and I just heard of it for the first time.
But it says public sale, and so you're asking me to willfully break, or the board to willfully break the law, because that's what it says. It has to
We're
be public
asking
sale.
the board to open
But
an investigation
you can-
regarding the.
But we can.
But we
can go
what's
forward
the
and say this.
investigation?
We can say, but the mistakes were made by the town in not accepting a payment, not informing me of payment for a tax bill I never received, and I came in and inquired about it. You can go to the townspeople and say, some mistakes were made, he came in to pay the taxes and was told, don't pay him, and we didn't inform him about the 2015 taxes, of which he never got a bill.
Again, I have no knowledge of that. It is not that I don't disagree with what you're saying or I don't believe with what you're saying, but I have no proof of that. Okay, and so somebody can come in here and say whatever works.
I had somebody with me, so I've got an eyewitness that was right there saying, why
again, but that doesn't talk about paying money in 17 or later in 16, because all that money would have been applied towards your other money. So you didn't pay any money. So if you had applied, even if you said, oh, I didn't know about 15, but I'll pay 16 taxes.
That's what I came in to do.
That's what he did in October.
If you had done that.
He did do it. Stop saying if.
Show me the canceled check. For the 16, for the
we didn't pay.
16.
He was told not to pay. He
You said-
explained that
you
earlier.
cannot say he paid it. He did pay it. Show me the canceled check.
I said he had a canceled check from 15. He was under the assumption that his 2015
So where's the
taxes
16
were
tax?
paid. Can I finish?
Sure.
Thomas started explaining how he was under the impression that his 2015 taxes were paid on the basis of his HUD disclosure. And then when he received, roll your eyes at me, do it. Like,
No,
honestly, you're going to sit here and tell me
HUD
that I can't, like,
No, that's,
I haven't heard anything about a HUD disclosure.
when you close on a property, you haven't heard that you get the property taxes need to be also as per.
I can show you the check in Bork and Clay.
So you just said you didn't hear about that, so.
Bork and Clay, that paid 2014 off.
I'm done.
Correct?
I'm done.
The HUD one statement, that paid your 2014 taxes.
yeah, but the issue that I'm
You don't
trying to
have to.
stress is there was misinformation and miscommunication.
On both ends.
And it was went both ways. So if I'm responsible for my mistakes, somebody else needs to be responsible for their mistakes.
Awkward.
And I went back,
awkward at all.
I
It
went
is.
back, and they gave me a copy of the 2015 tax bill that I never got, and it was mailed to 676 Upper Guinea Road. Now the tax bill that I got a copy of has the proper address on it.
Why is this 2015 the copy of his
So
tax statement?
somebody went in and changed it on an old
Again,
tax.
I don't know. All I know is your deed,
Yeah.
which is what would have been put into the system, shows Manchester. We didn't change it. I'm sorry, Concord. We didn't change the deed.
Yeah.
So you can say that's what the address is, and maybe that's correct. I don't know. All I know is your deed, which is from York County, shows the Concord address, and that's where we've been sending them notices.
As of 2016. You were
Okay,
sending
if we've
things
been-
to the
if we've
correct.
been sending- If we've been sending things from 2016, why haven't any taxes been paid?
You're
But the
not
issue-
listening to what
listen,
Tom's
yeah,
been trying to. Oh my
The
God.
issue is you foreclosed on a 2015
That's
tax
correct.
bill. And the issue is, I never got the tax bill. I was not told that there was any tax still due on it when I inquired.
So you were told because notices were sent out per state law.
Per state law, right?
So you were notified.
Yeah.
You agree?
No.
But earlier you said that we follow state law.
You follow state law. That's
And
correct.
state law says that we're
Doesn't
required.
mean that I saw the notices. All it requires by state law is you mail a notice out. If somebody doesn't pick it up, you're still covered by state law.
But it was signed for too.
The one of
Certified was signed for.
Certified was signed for. That's what I said was my
Tom,
mistake.
it's not a problem. Obviously, he's deciding as an individual for the town of Lebanon will not look at this. They're not offering for you to come back and pay your taxes.
We've had the opportunity.
We've had the opportunity to come.
It's not my decision. It's the
You're-
board's.
well, you just made it.
You've got the bag of money.
I'm the chairman, so
You knew who the owner was of the bag of money, but
And we
ethically
should-
and morally, you just chose to take my property worth $750,000 for $1,300 in taxes when everybody in here knew there was something wrong. That's why if it goes to court, Jordan will be deposed and he'll be on the stand and say, well, why did you go down to the property and make this after? Why did you look up a phone number? And he would have to say, there's something wrong because the guy pays all his other taxes. And this bill wasn't getting paid for $1,300. He's going to lose a $750,000 piece of property. There was something wrong. If you know there's something wrong, you have the moral and ethic obligation to fix it. Not the legal obligation.
we have the moral and ethical obligation to try, and we tried.
You didn't.
You
try.
did?
Yeah.
Why don't you explain that one?
Somebody could have drove.
How
over
did
to
you
my place of
ethically
business.
and morally, don't talk about paperwork. Let's talk
Just
about
because
how you ethically and morally tried.
Just because you don't agree,
I'm not the only one who doesn't agree.
that's fine. That's your choice.
You're absolutely right, that's my choice. And the attorney that we spoke to prior to coming here agrees with us as well.
Well,
So
that's fine. Then
I guess,
bring
Tom,
it to
we know
court.
what we need to do.
I mean,
Well-
you already agreed that we did everything legally.
Exactly.
So how are you going to bring it to court? That's your choice.
Because ethically, there was mistakes made on the town of Lebanon and the taxpayer.
Okay.
And he's not being given an opportunity to come in and pay his back debt. He's being blackballed, secret meetings happening behind closed doors. He's finding out.
Which ones?
Let's not go there, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to make the ultimate decision. Tom, I can't do this anymore. Literally, you're going to get nowhere with this dude.
I mean, doesn't it look suspicious to you that
Of course it does.
somebody can lose a mobile home and gets a letter to redeem it in 30 days? I lose a $750,000 piece of property and I don't get the same letter?
Again, you did.
I didn't.
Well,
I never saw it.
again, but you never saw a lot of things there.
Well,
That's not I mean, if we send a notice to the address of
when I
record,
asked
what are
for
we supposed to
everything in
do?
the folder, they gave me everything that they had in the folder. And there's no letter there.
Again, I have to
Says
check.
that
I think they
your
sent a letter.
property's
They may
foreclosed
not.
on, you have 30 days to
They may wait until the foreclosure letter. I may have misspoke that a letter is sent out. I thought one is, but I may have misspoke. I do know that they allow 30 days because the selectmen voted on it to do that. But whether a letter is actually sent out, I may have misspoke. I don't know if one is. There's not a requirement to have that done. There's not a requirement to give them 30 days. But that is something this town has done. How that is disclosed to the prior owners, I don't know. I would think a letter, but maybe it's not. I don't know. If
But you can
it's
sleep perfectly well at night knowing that you stole my property for $1,300.
again, I didn't steal your property.
How
The
long
town
have you
didn't
been
steal.
how long have you been a Lebanon resident?
I don't know, 25 years.
So you've been a Lebanon resident for 25. Selectmen are involved in the politics
1
of
year.
town for how long?
1 year.
One.
Yeah, one.
1 year.
1 whole year.
So you as a selectman of 1 whole year is going to sit here as a chairman, listen to this gentleman's story, who is building a community, who is building what a community would like, and you're going to listen to somebody who's lived here for 40 years, who has seen more in this town than you could even imagine.
Excuse me. I've been here for a lifetime as well.
Yeah, I've been here for a lifetime, and there's a lot of dirty things that happen in this town, and I am well aware of a lot of them. And so this situation right here is going to open up into a world, like there are other taxpayers in this town who have had tax issues. So I guess we'll just go to, so we know what we need to do. Like,
Obviously, when Tom came in originally to start your building permit.
I thought you looked familiar.
Yes.
Yep.
So I know where you started.
Yep.
But you also
Again,
find that I'm going to follow what the law states. So you can basically figure out my vote's going to be
okay.
based on what that referendum states.
Now, is it also possible that if I overpaid a fee and the town had that fee, that could be applied to the taxes?
If you over,
They were almost
See, I haven't figured it out yet, but when I came in and got the permit for the first building, I might have got charged double. So I haven't had time to figure it out. I called, but the building
It's not
guy
his
wasn't here
problem.
today, so.
I don't see how that can be applied to property taxes. Obviously, if you did it at the time, you say, hey, instead of giving me a refund, can you apply that towards the property taxes? That could probably happen. But 3 years, 4 years later, probably.
He didn't wait 4 years, and he doesn't.
When
have
was
a
his
copy
building
of it.
permit?
When did you last ask for another copy of it, Tom? Now it's missing from the folder.
So it was 2015.
It was a 2015 building permit.
3 years.
So 3 years later, I think,
you're about right.
again, but that's totally separate from property taxes. And property taxes are a public record, it's published. We have an annual report, so again, it's all listed there.
Sure is.
People that are delinquent. So again, I mean, it's there, so, yeah, again, you seem to think that it's a board decision. This board, unlike other boards, and I can't speak for other boards, and you can go through 40 years of other boards. And I'm not gonna say that every other board did the right thing. And whether there was sneaky stuff or bad stuff that happened in town, I don't know. Okay, all I know is that, one, the foreclosure process is not governed by the select board. We are not part of that process. That is a state process that is run by the treasurer, because that is his job. When people are past 3 years, when they are delinquent for 3 years in a row of their taxes, there's a foreclosure process that he follows. As a select board, when that happened, before we thought of doing anything with that property, we wanted to make sure that we followed the law. And the law is making sure that all the appropriate notices are sent out. We crossed all our T's, did all our I's, we did all that. And we went to our lawyers to do that.
So the lease agreements were all changed, the tenants are now paying the town of Lebanon since Friday?
Again, it has nothing to do with that, but that's.
No, you own the building, I mean, those are the businesses that have been paying.
That has nothing to do with this discussion.
So he's been paying.
Again, is everything awkward?
It is really, because when
Okay.
you're paying for a building since February that the town of Lebanon's owned, I mean, does the town of Lebanon not owe him any back money for all that?
So should we demand all the rent money that he got, that he should be
You
turned
should demand a
over to
lot,
the?
yeah, maybe you should.
So Tom should turn over all that rent money he got when he didn't own the property?
We'll ask the lawyer how he wants to handle that.
Oh, the same.
The,
Didn't you get a bunch of rent money on property that you didn't own?
we get some, yeah.
And he paid expenses, he paid the lights.
Oh, out of the rent
He's
money?
not paying.
He pays,
We held the water, we took
So
care
the
of
electric-
The rent money doesn't pay the lights.
the electricity
That's
doesn't go to the
expenses.
tenants?
The electricity goes to tenants.
So you didn't pay the electricity?
But we managed the property, we took care, we didn't know we didn't own it, quite honestly.
Well, no, I'm just saying is that, you know, there's more to throw around. We're not looking for that. We're not trying to do that. Again, it's.
We're not trying to do that either. We thought we were coming in for an opportunity to pay what was owed on a
Well, again, I'm
building.
not sure who thought you were coming in for that, but that's.
Tom did actually, he was given 5:15 tonight to be on the agenda.
To talk to the selectmen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Were you told that was gonna be an opportunity for you to pay back your taxes? Don't think so.
No,
Okay.
they said,
Okay, so it wasn't, just to be clear, that there was no indication that this was you providing you an opportunity to do that. Whether you assume that, that's your choice. Because when you came in before wanting to pay your taxes, and you were told you couldn't, and that was because the town already owned it, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So
Don't you
that's.
think the town should have said something at that point in time?
that
don't
we
you think
that
the
we-
town
that
should
we-
have said,
that
hold-
we currently owned it?
Yeah.
We did.
You told him in October of 2016
no,
when he
he's
could.
talking about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, 2 weeks ago, right, my apologies.
Yeah. We didn't own it in October of 2016. So
No, in October of 2016, he was here with a check to pay his taxes, and he was told not to pay anything.
So if I can gather what tonight is, you guys can't make that decision.
Can't make what decision?
To take the tax money and give us back the property, because some mistakes were made on both parties' side, you can't even do that, according to what you said with the referendum.
So again, I tend to run everything through my legal department, okay? Because as I tell people, I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't try to make that call. They're the legal experts, not me. Okay, so if we indeed made a mistake by law, if you brought me in a check to show that you paid your 2015 taxes in full, just like any other bill, if you prove that you paid, then we would have done the research. And if we screwed up, I would have gone to legal and say, okay, how do we undo this? That's Okay, but you have provided no, and you've even admitted that legally we did everything right. So I haven't heard anything that I need to go back and research.
Well, I'm not saying you did everything right, that's.
Legally.
You meant the letter of
Documentation
the
and
law.
timestamp
You said,
wise, yeah.
you said legally, and so therefore, I have nothing to go back that we have to undo, that we did something illegally, or we did something wrong and not in accordance with.
Well, I would mention to the attorneys when I came in to make the payment, I was refused the opportunity to make the payment because the tax bill was being changed and I was not told that there was anything left from the 2015 taxes for a bill, which I never received.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's.
I mean, that's a legitimate thing to ask the attorney.
It's
Never got the bill, came in to pay it the first time, said, how come I didn't get a bill? They never sent the bill after that. Then, when I came in with 2016, they said, your tax bill is going to be mailed, it's going to be different, so don't pay it. They didn't say, oh, by the way, you still have this 2015 taxes, because I would have paid it right on the spot. You know, that's something to ask attorneys.
Again, it's what you said, that's all hearsay.
No, it's
I
not
don't know
hearsay. If
what
I
it is.
bring an eyewitness with me that was here, now it's not hearsay.
And who was on the other side of that conversation?
We're not gonna discuss that.
Tax collector lady. I don't know people's
But
names.
my point is that if we follow the law by all the notices, because even if that happened in 16, you got many notices after that were sent to the correct address by your own admission. One that was even certified that you signed off on, and still nothing was done.
You're missing the point that he was here in October of 2016 to pay his
Okay. He had opportunity.
All right.
Don't hash the whole thing.
You're right. He has the question. We have the answer. He's not gonna help you.
It's just like the bag of money. You met
He's
the
not gonna
letter of
help
the
you.
law, but did you morally and ethically do what needed to be done when there was a mistake being made?
Again, we reached out. We reached out several times.
You can say
in
that.
different versions.
Yep.
Just
But
as you
Jordan knew there
obtained
was something
properties
wrong,
in
but he
Lebanon
didn't-
by various means,
He
right?
didn't come see me, he didn't call, he just went to the property where
Tom
I
was
don't
never offered to
reside.
buy the building back, and we've obtained various properties in Lebanon. We've obtained other properties by various means.
Uh-huh.
The board gets to decide who keeps and sells properties that have been obtained by Lebanon. There's just notes I was taking on your meeting from 3 o'clock today.
Okay, fine, whatever.
So, I mean,
Go for it.
I will go for it. I mean, it's public. I took notes. Tom, I'm sorry.
Who's the town's attorneys?
Drummond Woodson,
See that slow?
Portland.
Say Portland slow, or what you said? What was the name of the
I
attorney?
said that's local. I said
Oh, I'm
Portland.
sorry, no, I didn't hear that when you said it.
Drummond Woodson.
Drummond? Woodson?
Yes.
In Portland?
Yep.
And Tom did hire me for an eviction process over at 676. So if you'd like that documentation, you can give me a call and I can give you guys that paperwork if the town of Lebanon would like to finish that eviction process.
We won't go there. We don't.
You're
do
gonna subdivide it and leave it to the new owner to deal with? Okay, great, thank you. Thank you for confirming that. We just needed to make sure. Perfect.
that. That's how they.
Awesome.
That's how normal towns do. They don't.
It is what normal towns do. You're so right. Mhm.
I certainly don't want to wade into that quagmire.
I certainly wouldn't either.
So, yep. But thank you for the offer.
You're so welcome.
So, any idea what we're supposed to do to help keep the tenants that are there in business? I mean, do I just shut off the electricity and not deliver any more water to them, or do you want me to continue to work with them?
Again, it's
Going, or-
that is your choice. Okay.
Well, I don't have any operating agreement with the town that allows me to have electric service there to sell the tenants.
Well, you don't have to. They can change the electricity right now if they wanted to on their own. So it's no different than anybody renting. You just call and have the electricity changed into your name. In a talk with them, I think they've talked about that. I don't know whether they've done anything. Believe it or not, that was actually a concern of mine. Is what happens if the bill's not paid or whatever because you're not getting rent or whatever the case may be. I didn't know how it was paid, and I felt that obviously they lose their electricity. That's probably not good for their plans.
No, that's a very short window.
You know what I'm saying? So, my guess is that they would have thought about that, and I brought it up, and they have discussed that. What their arrangement is, I don't know. They can put that in their own name if they want. It's my understanding that there's one primary meter, but then there's 5 digital meters. So they could actually have that worked out themselves and make sure their electricity is paid for. So again, the water, I know that you guys truck water over to them. Again, that's between them. Do you know what I'm saying? So if they want a contract with you to bring water over and you want to charge them for that water where you may have been before doing it for free, that's your business. You know, right now I'm waiting on legal to see if we can even take receipt of rental funds. That's why we haven't taken anything yet. Okay? It's because we've been also working on legal because you have to understand, a town owning any marijuana shop, whether it be medical or whether it be retail, okay, marijuana is still a federal crime. Still a risk involved. Okay? No matter how minimal that risk is, there's still a risk involved. So we've been trying to get clarity through our legal team on how to proceed with this. That's why we haven't collected rent. Because I don't know whether taking receipt causes us greater risk. If we don't take receipt, then we're not receiving drug money or whatever you want to call it. Okay? You can roll your eyes, okay? But marijuana is still a class drug by federal standards.
By federal standards, that's right.
It doesn't matter whether it's medical or recreational.
We
Jeff
can talk
Sessions
about
has his
drug
way,
money later.
you don't wanna have any
And Jeff
receipts.
Sessions revoked all of the Obama amendments that he did to make it a higher priority. Okay, now, are they gonna come into Lebanon and do anything? Probably not. But I'd be stupid to say there's not a risk there. Now, is Congress trying to help? They're trying to drop the federal law about banks right now. Whether that goes through, I don't know. But yeah, there's a risk there. So I wanna make sure from a town perspective that we can take those funds. We don't know, we just talked today, we don't know whether we're gonna keep the building or whether we're gonna sell it. We don't know that. And all my point was, if we're gonna sell it, it's more marketable with it filled with tenants than it is empty. Mm-hmm. So I don't wanna.
I know the town had the option of adopting chapter 941 excess funds, but they didn't. So the town is not obligated to
That's correct.
give the former property owner his equity in the property back.
Yep.
But we'll let the courts decide that.
Yeah.
Because it can be enforced.
Yeah.
Because I have no intention of walking away from my life's work.
And that's
losing $750,000.
And that's totally your prerogative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know what that was meant for, and I think it's primarily meant for residential versus commercial. But can it be applied to commercial? I don't know. I don't know the law. I know the town didn't adopt it. It's never been even put on the referendum.
I can't imagine where they would separate commercial and residential from tax.
Yeah, I can. A huge difference. Because they don't want to kick out some senior who's in a home they're land rich but they're cash poor. Mm-hmm. So they have this nice house but they can't pay their taxes. So the town forecloses on them and they may get a windfall when it was really the senior's money. And now they're homeless and they got no place to. That's really what it was designed for. Again, there's other stuff for commercial businesses, but that's because a commercial business, you got earnings, you have other collateral versus a residence, there's not a lot to go on. So I think, but again, I don't know where that drafted from. I don't know where it applies to. I know I'm aware of the law of that portion of what it does, but the actual specifics of whether it's everybody or just residents or commercial, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we don't have it here in town.
Yeah.
So, yep.
All right, I'm done.
Me too.
Life goes on. It's better than a heart attack.
All right. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
Is there any more public participation?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
you did very good being quiet.
State your name, please.
Deborah Wilson.
Yes, ma'am.
Lebanon, Main City. So first I want to tell you that I knew that Tom and Mel were coming in today. I had some discussion with them. I do want to inform you that my questions this afternoon had nothing to do with their discussion. They were my own questions. But I'm a little concerned about something I heard them say versus something that I was told today. And I just want to get some clarification on it So today, when Sarah and I were here, we asked you guys where the second property was that was taken by taxes. It wasn't you and it wasn't you, it was Laura that told me. She spoke right on video. We have no idea. Well, did you not have any idea, or did you know that you gave it back to the guy? So
I honestly don't remember.
you didn't remember giving another there was two that were taken, and out of two you couldn't remember that one went back?
It is not.
You didn't say it anyway, Laura did.
No, but I honestly didn't remember.
There's two.
And that would explain why. We have two properties that we foreclose on. We have 30 days. We have a process. We have 30 days. If the person came in and paid it back, then boom, it's off my memory. I have so many things I'm doing.
No, taking somebody's home and property is a big thing.
But we don't do that.
But that's the only thing that concerned me. I understand where you're coming from. I understand where they're coming from. It all makes sense. It's very interesting.
But we don't take. The selectmen don't take property. It's a process that is directed by the treasurer.
Right.
Okay, and so the last I remember, there was two people that did not pay their taxes.
Okay.
Okay, and I do know that we offered a 30-day period. I don't know for a fact if a letter was sent out. I assumed it was. Otherwise, how do people know?
Do people just know it through our mail system?
I don't know whether one was sent. And I gotta believe if one was sent to one was sent to the other.
Why is it in his folder?
And I know I don't know. Maybe it was a different, or maybe Jordan didn't think about it. Because that was before the foreclosure. This was after the foreclosure.
Okay.
So again,
now, I'm just trying to figure it out.
They have to ask.
I'm not going to court for anybody.
Again, they have to ask for the paperwork. If they ask for certain paperwork, that's what they're provided. If they didn't ask for that notice, then Jordan may not have thought about it to give it to them.
So if he came in and asked for everything in his folder.
Well, people don't have a folder.
You don't have folders for the properties?
No, we have building permits over there. That has nothing to do with the foreclosure. He probably asked for the foreclosure paperwork. Okay, that would have been all pre-foreclosure. Right. That notice would have been afterwards.
But so now I'm confused now again because I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead.
I'm just trying to. I'm not going to court for or against anybody.
No, it's fine.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yes.
How this works.
Okay.
So not too very long ago, there was discussion about all the properties having a folder. We were combining all the land use stuff, all the building permits.
That has nothing to do with foreclosure.
And it was all going over there and that.
Ron was all going over there, but that's okay. Oh, okay. Has absolutely nothing to do with foreclosure.
All the information on a property is not kept together.
That's in our software.
Well, then what's he talking about? He got all this information from his folder, all the notices.
It may have been the folder that we put together for the attorney with all his foreclosure paperwork that they checked out.
Oh,
I don't know.
So it wouldn't be there's not a folder on each property.
There are folders for their septic and building permits. Yes, there are. But we don't put tax stuff in. We don't put tax stuff in there. It's for the code enforcement officer there.
Right.
And here are the transfer statements and the deeds. Now I don't know if he puts it in here or not. I don't think so.
I thought that when we took
because a lien is filed with the registry. So we don't necessarily put it there. When you have a lien, you go to the registry. You can look at all the liens on it.
That makes sense.
And that's where the document that he.
I thought the whole thing that we talked about with budget committee and with you and Laura and Paul formally was that there was papers here and papers here and papers here. People were coming in to look for paperwork and it wasn't all in one place. So the whole combination thing of land use.
So again, you made it bigger than it is.
Right.
We have two sets of files.
Right.
Code enforcement files.
Right.
Transfer forms. This is property transferring
that was combined?
These have to be combined. They still haven't been. They still haven't been. They're still separate.
So it's been a year and they're still not combined?
Been a year?
Yeah, it was a year ago.
That we talked about that. I don't think so. Go look it up.
Mike Bulio was still here.
Yeah, we weren't talking about combining files when Mike was here.
Yeah, because that was the whole reason that the problem was brought up.
No, it wasn't a matter. You're confused.
Sarah.
You are confused. The issue was that paperwork was supposedly missing out of people's files.
Right.
It had nothing to do
And I
with
know that one.
it had nothing to do with combining files.
Okay,
Combining files is something that we talked about. The
right,
board with Jenny, because this is used a lot for the assessing people.
right.
That's code enforcement.
Code
That's why
enforcement.
they're different. But we have a different assessor that doesn't really use this system, and we have other places
So
where
when
this
you
is.
changed the assessors, that plan was
So,
kind of scrapped.
but that's afterwards. We still haven't done it. There's a lot of work involved. It's not done yet, but there's a lot of work. You have to have
Well,
time.
yeah.
You have to have time to do that. If I have employees that are stretched already too thin, where are they going to find the time? They're trying, but then things come up.
I mean,
and
I just, the one thing that I heard today that even concerned me
again,
is I was only here at 1 o'clock and I was told you couldn't remember the second property.
I don't
I
remember.
would have remembered if I gave somebody's property back after I foreclosed on it.
But it's you say you.
Yeah,
You don't. I didn't do it.
so.
You keep saying you.
Right.
I guarantee you. I guarantee
didn't
you.
know anything about
I
that.
guarantee you that Jordan knows who exactly it was. Off the top of his head, bingo. Because he's the one who does all the
And you guys
notices.
didn't know anything about it?
Yeah, I knew there were two,
That's all you know is there were two.
and I knew the big one was that because we were surprised. We were shocked that nobody came in.
Because it was obvious. Well, I'm not gonna make
Okay.
a determination, I'm not a judge.
I'm saying we
I'm
were
just saying.
shocked. We said it publicly in meetings. We said it.
We have nobody that I know, I'll leave it at that, who pretty religiously keep on top of what's in meeting. I haven't heard anything about it till June when all of a sudden.
Well, unless they
we have new community
unless they
center
know.
and everything.
Well, again, unless they know.
Right, exactly, and that's
Okay,
just
but
it.
that's-
If you hint at it.
But again, we have
poke
to
around
send out notices. We're required to do that by law.
Right.
Okay? At the end, we're required to send it certified because we can't use the excuse, well, I never received it. So we do certify. And it was signed off on.
So that notice that he had.
It
30
still would
days.
have worked even if he hadn't signed it.
Really?
But the fact that he signed it even gave us
Because your requirement is to send it.
but the fact that it was signed off gave us even more clarity that he knows.
Right.
And then Jordan goes posted on the buildings, both on the house and on the other building, hoping that maybe one of them will let him know.
Right.
Okay? And so Jordan pulls up the file on the computer, sees the phone number, and calls him. I mean, I don't think he's on Jordan's speed dial. He can say he is, but I'd rather doubt it.
So who? Well, I'm not going to ask that because maybe it would be a legal question, but yeah, that was my only concern listening to all of this is that just at 1 o'clock we don't know, and then
We had, I don't know,
gave it back to the
you can
other
ask,
guy,
you
and
can
we're
ask,
like,
well
"Oh,
again,
crap."
so and that would be why. Because it was within 30 days, which we had already agreed on, as long as they pay all their back taxes, the board, as long as they pay all their back taxes,
You just told me that you didn't have anything to do with it.
the 30-day process we do. The board approved that, to give them 30 days after the foreclosure. Remember I said that?
Right.
That's what we approved. And the part is that we approved
But
is
you
they,
just approved it to anybody.
to,
not to
in
those
general,
two
for both of
specific-
those two. And it was because we've done that in the past.
So you knew both of those people that had 30 days.
I don't remember the addresses.
I don't know.
It doesn't, again,
I don't know, maybe if I was in the same predicament, you guys are doing a lot of stuff.
my point is that we have to send out notices, we reach out, we knock on doors. Jordan visited the residents. We had 60, I don't know how many we had. You have to ask Jordan, we had a bunch. And he went to every single house.
And everybody came in and paid but two.
That's right. So to
so
say
you
that we didn't
proposed
reach
not
out, to
to.
say that we weren't morally
No,
and
I
tried,
didn't say
and
that.
I'm just saying, but
I
to say
didn't say
that, he worked his ass off, and so did Paul Nato.
Yes,
They went out
Jordan
and did
is
that.
very thorough.
They did the
Both.
extra effort to do that.
Right.
Okay,
And
so
Paul is also like that too.
I mean again, so that's why, you know, I don't keep track of everything. I mean my brain's only so big. So I just saying is I don't need, that's not a number I need to, that's not an address I need to keep in my head. Does it matter? It doesn't, it's a process. It's no different here. Do I feel for the guy? But again, the law is the law.
I can tell you and not that my brain is any bigger than yours, but I can tell you the addresses of all the tax
So that's you.
properties that you sold in the past.
So that's you.
So that's what I'm saying though. It's like
But you're not keeping track of as many things as I
If I
do.
took somebody's property, I would remember their
But
address.
again, I didn't take anybody's property.
Well, the
You
town
you can
did.
look at it that way.
No, you didn't. The town did,
And it's a process that's beyond my control.
right? And hey, just to like make.
And I
it
know that we were
clear,
trying our best.
I hate the part building.
And
I hate the lies that came with it, the pig farm and all of
And
that.
I know,
I hate
but
the
again,
whole thing.
that has nothing to do.
So,
That has
just
nothing to
saying.
do with it.
But
For
that's
me.
me personally,
No, that's
I don't
fine.
have the right,
It's fine. I just. So again, people can criticize the town, but we
I
did.
just don't understand that process, and I'm just trying to learn it. And I know you guys are pressed for time now because I took up enough of yours, but I didn't understand that because, like I said, we sat right here at 1 o'clock and we asked, and and I'm not. I just can't get past that you didn't know that the other one was given back,
Why?
Because it just bothers me that there were only two. It's not like there were 60. There were only two. One was taken, and we had big community meetings about community centers and everything else, and the other
But
one
when was that?
June.
Thank you. This happened in February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't even know about it till June themselves.
No, wrong. They got a certified notice in January
That the property was taken, or
that the property was going to be foreclosed. And I bet you they got a foreclosure notice. Just that they get a lien notice.
Well, if they did, they did.
And the deed
that's on them.
and the deed has
You know
their
what I'm
address.
saying?
So he can't say he never received anything.
No, I
when he-
can't say anything because first thing, I don't know him. I know Mel, I know Mel, but I don't know him.
But
I
again,
can't say if he did or he didn't. And
he's even saying
personally,
the address is correct that we sent everything to. So I mean, where's responsibility to make sure if you're going to have important documents sent to an address that they get to you? I mean, how many years does it have to be? If we didn't foreclose, would taxes have been paid yet?
I can't tell you that either. I don't know.
How long does it have to be before? And that's why the state
Yeah,
gives
and
it.
like I said, my issue is not with them. My issue is what was said to me today.
But again,
You know,
the fact that I
asked a question and told like, we don't know that. There was only
I don't
two.
know, but it doesn't
One-
matter.
Yeah, it does because I just don't feel right about that.
Why don't you? Well, that's fine.
Because there was only two.
So what?
So that's what I'm saying. Like
So if there's only three, I should remember all three.
No, but one went back, and one was going to be your community center.
No, I didn't. If you frame it that way, that is correct.
No, I'm not framing.
Yeah,
it.
you just said that you framed it that way.
Two people.
I knew one was a community center. I didn't know one was a community center in February, or in
No,
March,
in
or in
June.
April, or in June.
Today, when I talked to you guys as a board,
Yeah.
and I said, "Oh, there were two. How many properties?" You knew there were two,
Yes.
and I said, "Oh, okay. So where's the other one?" But nobody.
And I don't remember the
And
address. I don't remember the
I
address.
didn't know, and I will say honestly,
I don't remember the
I
address.
didn't know myself that the other one had gone back.
And the fact is that I don't remember the address because the first time it came up, and the reason why it didn't come up again is because they paid it off.
Well, first thing, I don't think you should have told me the address anyway because it went back, and so now it's his.
But my point is that
private,
I didn't
and
know
I don't think his address should.
I didn't know the address, but the point is that the reason it never really came up again
Right.
is because they bought it back,
Right.
and we haven't had to deal
But
with it.
that's what I.
We don't
that's
have to
what I
dispose-
think
we don't have to
should been
dispose
said
of
was
it.
that the person bought it back.
But I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't remember it. I might have known it. That was in February. That was like a decade ago.
Right.
You don't understand. I'm going like 100 miles an hour here with stuff to do.
I do understand because I see.
Okay, so once it's done, it's gone. So we weren't talking about that address. We don't have to dispose of that address. There's no.
No, and I don't think
so
you
that
should
makes
have shared the
so that makes total sense why I didn't remember that address because we haven't had to talk about
You
it.
should have shared the
But at the
address,
time when you
because
asked,
it's his and that's
I don't remember the
private.
address.
But I'm just surprised that, somebody out of three people didn't say, oh, that was so
Well,
bad.
what he wouldn't
No,
be
he
here.
wouldn't have.
He wasn't here. He wasn't here.
No.
So there's only two of us.
So I was just surprised, that's all.
But I guarantee you that if Jordan had been here, he would have been blurting out the address because he would have.
And I don't think the address should have been shared, but that's my personal.
Well, again, it's a public.
Because it went back.
It's a public record.
I know.
What I'm saying is that because he's the one who deals with it day in and day out, I don't.
Yeah.
And so
Do me a favor,
I don't
if you ever
remember
come
those
in to
addresses.
Take my property, could you call me on the phone or message me?
And I don't even know the
Give
address
me
of your
whatever
property.
the
So
address or-
if I knew the person's name, I might have remembered it. But I don't remember addresses.
Yeah. No, I'm not, listen.
Because I
I'm
came to this
saying
town when there were no streets, there were no street signs.
If the town retained it and kept it, then you could say the address. But where it was sold back, I guess when I said, where's
But
the other one?
if we had,
Oh, we sold it back to the person.
if we had retained
Would've
it
been
like we
right.
did with Upper Guinea,
Right,
and there's a very good chance I probably would have remembered because we would have been talking about what to do with it.
right.
So that makes perfect sense now to me in hindsight. That would be the reason why I didn't remember, because we haven't had to talk about it. But that happened in February. You know what I'm saying? And the owners.
Well, and it would have been March by the time they came in and paid for it, right, they're within 30 days.
But again, we wouldn't have been talking about it.
So,
That would have been Jordan said, hey, they came in and paid it off. Okay, boom.
so he did come in within 30 days. You're sure of that?
I don't know that. I haven't asked. Jordan hasn't been here since the 1 o'clock meeting.
So
Jordan's
how
not
do
here.
I find that out? I'm not gonna get involved with it, but.
I'm just saying,
I'm
based on
just
what
saying, 'cause I don't
based on
really
what
care
they
if
were
it came
based on what they were
within
saying,
30 days.
I still do not know the property. I still do not know whether they paid in the 30 days.
And you don't even know if it's the right people that.
I
they're
have no
saying.
idea.
Yeah.
Jordan hasn't been here. He's the one who asked. Jenny's not here.
Is he alright?
He wasn't feeling well. He went home early. And Jenny's not in today. So I have nobody. Yeah, could I look it up? I haven't had a chance to look it up. I'm not even sure how to look it up. I don't know how to look up tax acquired property. I don't know how to look it up in Trail. So I don't know how to.
Oh, you don't know how to do trail?
I know how to do some stuff. The easy stuff. That I don't know how to do.
Well, like I said, that's their issue, whatever
So-
they go through with you guys. I was just very concerned that we sat here today and asked about the other property and nobody seemed to know, and that's a little concerning to me, but
Oh well.
that's private, I know, oh well.
I'm just saying, don't say nobody knew.
Well, nobody knew,
The treasurer who was in charge of it
he
knows.
wasn't here, so nobody here knew.
And one
That's
wouldn't know.
concerning.
And one wouldn't know.
Right,
Don't include Paul in that because Paul wasn't part of the discussion. Ever.
no, you and Laura were.
But don't say no one knew because Paul shouldn't be part of that. I'm just
Let
saying,
me address
Paul
it.
wasn't here.
No one who was here, who was party to that understanding,
Yes.
that one property would go
Yes.
back to the owner and the other property would be
I don't even
retained by
know
the
that it
town.
went. I don't even know that it went back to the owner.
Say that it went back to
I don't even know that it went back to the owner.
and Paul was not included in that, it was only Chet.
All I know is-
that would have been included.
All I know is that we foreclosed on right now. All I know is we foreclosed on 2 properties. I know the address of one.
Okay,
I do not know that because we were surprised at that happening. I do not know the address of the second one.
and you
Okay.
don't know that it went back to the owner, or you don't know?
I don't
that it
know.
did?
I don't know if it went back to the owner.
So, but you haven't discussed what to do with that second property?
Nope, we haven't had any discussions.
Uh,
So no, it's not odd. If it went back to the owner, that would be the reason. But I'm just saying is I have not verified anything. So my answer is no different than it was at 1 o'clock.
No comment.
No, I'll trust me. I have comments.
So.
I don't know the address and I don't know the status of it.
I'll wait and I'll ask Jordan later.
He'll
How's that?
be able to give it off the top of your tongue, or you can wait until I can ask Jordan myself.
Well, I can wait. Yeah, will you send me an email?
But yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Done. Thanks.
Piece of cake.
Awesome. You guys have a great rest of your meeting.
All right, thank you.
And try to.
The rest of the
remember
meeting will
when
be
you
2
take
seconds.
somebody's property. Well, I didn't understand like how the town can take somebody's property.
I heard you say that for the 10th time now.
Well, and so I'll say it 11 times until you start laughing at me and understand what my problem was.
Well, again, I hear you. There's only so many things I can keep track of. You don't think it's right, that's
See
fine.
that book right there? I don't think what?
I said, if you don't think that's right, that's fine.
It's not my business.
Yeah.
It's your business.
Yep.
See ya.
All right. How you doing? Having fun yet?
I'm doing fine. I feel bad for you, but I'm doing fine.
I'm sorry I'm doing all the talking. If you want me to shut up, you need to kick me or
No.
whatever. Because I got a mouth that I can.
I'm not a man of many words.
I'm not trying to. I do tend to take up a lot of the air. I don't try to do it on purpose. So, and I'd be more than happy to concede it if you want.
Well, you gave me a chance.
So-
I got no problem.
So
There,
Um,
it was high temperature in the room.
well, yeah. And I can only handle so much, and because what happens is I then start going and that doesn't help things. And so that's why I just try to bring everything back down. But hey, just because I can feel for the guy, but I mean, it's, the problem is that as selectmen, we do this with a lot of different things. We hear stories, we hear stuff from different people. Well, I need this, and I need that, and I need this, you know, and the problem is that where do you draw that line? That's what the laws are there for, to give us that guidance on where we draw those lines. You know, the fact that he hasn't paid any taxes since 15, or he didn't pay all of his 15 taxes, I mean, how is that fair to the rest of the taxpayers? You know? Yeah, he had circumstances, but that's not. And he's been collecting $96,000 a year of rent. So I mean, again, why can't some of that go to pay off the taxes?
Right.
Instead of going somewhere else? So it's, again, that's a business decision that he made. That's how I look at it. And when we send out the notices, if he doesn't wanna, you know, so I mean, again, we can hear all these things, but, you know, morally, we did, and ethically, I mean, we did more than we had to. And I don't like the fact to the implications that we didn't, because now maybe their opinion, maybe we should have just driven all over town looking for them to, one could argue that. Do we do that with, in fact, we did. We drove all over town and posted stuff on properties. So, you know, we don't tend to have commercial properties that this happens to.
Yeah.
You know. So, you know, it's just, yeah. So, and he got foreclosed in Rochester. So again, I don't know, you know, there's different situations. Rochester doesn't really want the property because it's a cleanup site. So I think they'd rather, if there's jobs there, other things there, there's a better purpose for them. You know, but again, laws are different in New Hampshire, so they can do that.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, because it goes back to the referendum.
It says a public sale. So I mean, that's it is what it is. I mean, that's what the people said. Now, yeah, I suppose as a board, we could make a decision to put a new referendum out in November to give us the authority to do a private sale. Okay, and we don't do anything until then. We have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the people will vote for it or not. Problem is, the saying that we can do a private sale opens up the window to all sorts of crap, even stuff that's happened in the past. I can sell it to my buddy for $1. That's what a private sale allows you to do.
Yeah.
I think that just opens the door to all sorts of stuff.
I can't picture legal buying land into that.
Right? I just can't. So I mean, I wouldn't vote in favor of putting that as a referendum. I think this opens the door to all sorts of corruption and unethical and unmoral things. So public is just like, you put things out to bid, you know, as much as you can. You know, this is a public sale. I think it was done as a public sale to make sure it was done fairly. So, you know.
Fairly and openly.
You know, to ask us, so therefore then to ask us, oh, but this time let's disregard the law, disregard the vote of the people. Because there's a group of people that think it's unfair. We can't do that. If we did that with this, we'd have to think of all the other things that have to do, because a group of people wants us to spend money out of the general fund to go pave their road. Even though that's against the law, because we're not allowed to spend money without approval. I mean, where do you draw the line? You know, I mean, that's what the people vote us in is for, to uphold their laws. We don't create them, the people do. So, you know, so, but anyways, that's the fun part of this job. So, all I got, I think, is minutes. I got minutes. Oh, wait a minute, June 27th minutes.
I didn't pull my bar.
So you can look at those if you want. I looked at them.
Oh, you say I read this one?
Did you?
Yeah.
Was there? I didn't find anything.
No.
Okay. Make a motion to accept the Wednesday, June 27th minutes as written.
I'm sorry, I'm lower in seconds. Seconded.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, two of those. Those. That's easy. I'll leave that for Jenny. I didn't have any paperwork. The only thing that I found in the folder that Jenny left was a letter from It's like it took a while to get us, but a letter from the United States Department of Ag, USDA, looking for nominations for your area for Farm Service Agency County Committee. The county committee is made up of 5 farmers who help deliver USDA farm programs in the Cumberland and York County area. To be eligible, a person needs to be an agricultural producer of legal voting age with farming interest in your town. Appreciate your assistance with publicizing the nomination and election process. Enclosed are a county committee brochure and a nomination form. Please post these in the town hall. If you have any questions, please give me a call. There's a nomination form for county FSA committee selection. Signed and dated by the nominee in item 3. Nominee must sign willing to have his place. Delivery to the county no later than August 1. So we only got like a month left. It's a non-salary public service position. A small stipend is provided to offset expenses. Just trying to say nomination form, name your nominee, address to be completed by county FSA office. So if this nomination is by other than self, the following eligible voter or representative of a community-based organization hereby nominates a forenamed person to be a candidate in the next FSA committee election for the county. So I guess anybody can nominate themselves or they can be nominated. So I guess it's not really us. I mean, we could nominate somebody, but they would have to sign off as well. We can't just railroad a resident. Yeah. So yeah, I just thought this might be good to throw on the website.
Yeah.
So then we can.
There's not that many farmers in town.
Right. We can, obviously say that we have this information to provide at the front desk if they want to see if to ask for it. I mean, we can maybe put this out there on the table. It's probably get lost on it, but it's not like it's a bunch of forms. But if you try to put it out there and see.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a group. I think the Soroys know a group they had mentioned during the comprehensive plan. There's like some farmers group that they're part of. There's like a forum or a email distribution type of thing that maybe, the other farmers in the area might belong to, that we can use this to post this. It may already be posted for them, but it might be another way to get it out. So yep, not that. So we'll do that. That's all the paperwork I have. Pretty simple. Business, I don't really have anything. What do you have today?
The site plan review that you was working on.
Yep.
What are you doing with that? Anything right now?
Not really. It's probably ready to go to planning board to have them take a look.
Okay. I'm looking at it, but I just didn't want to be doubling what you're already doing, redoing something you're already doing.
No, I'm not. I mean, again, if you've got input, I can change it. I can update. I can amend it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have any input right now. I'm still.
So I mean, again, it's the thing is where we're starting from scratch. So there's 2 things. One, we're starting from scratch. And 2, we have no comprehensive plan.
Mm-hmm.
So comprehensive plan provides you to then have zoning. But without a comprehensive plan, that doesn't really give you the guidance to do zoning. So the site plan really, to go beyond that or to become more restrictive than the model, I almost feel like we need to have a comprehensive plan to give us that direction. Do you see what I'm saying? Though it's the will of the people, and we don't have that.
Right.
So that's why I'm trying to stay very, very close to the model. But there could be some language a little bit here and there that could be clearer, or that's specific to Lebanon that makes more sense.
But it gives framework for the planning board to work with, which they don't have right now.
Right, exactly. And again, it can be amended down the road as we get more used to it. We find out that this section doesn't really apply or doesn't really work well for us. We'd like to, so again, then we can do that. But yeah, so go for it. Go looking through it. I mean, you're probably looking through it with a planning board eye anyways.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
So,
that's why it's taking me a little longer.
Yep, but that's fine. That's fine. And then when you're done with it, if we want to make some changes and then we give it to the planning board, that's fine.
Talked about the mowing for the transfer station already, so that's all taken care of.
Yep.
There was an email that came through, and you sent it to me, that had to do with the cemetery
Yeah.
with the fallen stone.
Yep.
I did called her today and talked to her. There are no living relatives. There is one possible stepson out in New York, New Jersey, someplace. She's trying to get a hold of them. I looked at the stone. The base itself is caught between two shrubberies. And the shrubberies are so huge, it's just taken the base and it's grown into it and tipped it.
Oh, so actually probably did it through
So-
growth of just.
Yeah. So last winter, I would say that with the frost heave and those and that
Interesting.
angle,
Yeah.
it just went. But it's a stone that's about this thick and it's big. You can't lift it by one person. Oh, persons.
Right. The headstone or the base.
The headstone. But you could put it back on the base and it's not going to stay.
Right. Because the base itself is.
Yeah. So it's either going to have to.
So does that mean the base has to be removed and that soil leveled or whatever, and then put back down? I mean, how does that?
Well, that's what I'm looking at. The only way you can lower, you're going
That's
to
not
pay.
Forest Grove, right? This does that, or the trustees, or how does that, or
Well, I was looking at that today, trying to see how the write up on that is, and it's not covered.
Interesting.
So I'm trying to get hold of Joanne as well, because there's three of us on the board. So I'm trying to get hold of them to talk.
He's a veteran as well, right?
He's a veteran.
So we have our budget is for cemeteries, for repair and maintenance of cemeteries. Think about if we need some funds from that. It's still a town cemetery in my mind.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of maintenance that's covered by you guys, but that's still something that we can do. So just remember that there may be some money in that budget that we can do.
Okay.
That we can vote as far as for the committee for the board to take some money out of that to do that. So we tend to have money in the cemetery budget to do that.
Okay.
So
One of the concerns.
as you know, veterans are a little bit special to me.
Yeah.
So
Well, actually, we're required to take care of the veterans. Anyway.
well, that's right. But it's just let's find a way to make it happen. And if it's a money issue, then let's figure it out. At least to get the stone rated. I mean,
well, right now, what I'm trying to do is get permission.
because nothing's broken, correct?
Nothing's broken other than the bond that holds
The bond, right, which may have been broken for years. I mean, it may have toppled over in the past as well. Who knows?
The one or two things are going to happen though. Either the stone's going to be relocated to a new spot, or those shrubberies got to come out of it.
Right.
Because we put it back in with the shrubbery,
Right.
It isn't going to last.
Yep.
But there's nothing in the bylaws of the cemetery that allows me to remove the shrubbery.
Really?
So, and
Can you remove roots?
there's nothing in there.
Well, so there's nothing that allows you to remove, but there's nothing that says that you can't, correct?
Correct. It's one of these things.
So therefore, it would just be a vote of the trustees?
It might be. Only because it looks like it's encroaching into the other lot.
Yeah.
Which could be,
I mean, a perfectly justified reason you could replant small ones there.
potentially, yeah.
So that way you don't really lose the intent, but then you just have to deal with this again 20 years down the road.
Right.
But then it's somebody else's problem.
The lady that called us is trying to get a hold of the step son.
And then what, he would provide the funds? Is that the hope?
I don't know if it'd be the funds or just to find out if he has any ownership to the lot. If he has ownership to the lot, then I need permission.
Oh, gotcha. So that's the issue, more the authorization to do something.
Right.
Okay.
But I just don't know.
Okay.
If there's no ownership, then we have to act.
Yep. That's fine.
So it's being worked on. I've contacted her.
Yeah, if you need muscle, you need manpower, let me know. I'm sure we can scram some people up.
1,000 pounds.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm just saying, we'll make it happen.
Okay.
So.
I just don't want to damage that stone.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
That was the other thing.
Yep.
Other than that, there's nothing. Oh, what? the cemetery up on Smith Road, do you know if she did send a letter to the owner?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know on that one.
I did find out there is a right of way from the farm to the cemetery.
Interesting. Okay. Whether he still wants to let anybody go down that right away, that's a different story.
That's the key.
That's why we have to send that letter, which is notifying him about state law.
Yeah.
So.
I asked the people that sold the farm, and they told me there was a right way by the house, right to the cemetery.
Oh, right by the house? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it gets touchy.
Yep.
Because that is an old town road that goes up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, you either, is it a guy or is it I don't know, there's a family, whatever. It's like, hey, you take care of it, that's great, we won't bother you. But if you don't take care of it, you need to give us access so we can get it taken care of. And state law says that. So.
That's why I'm curious about the letter. So
and the thing is that's part of that database that I started with that Excel spreadsheet, so we can put notes like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we know it's either this person is taking care of this and what the name is and what the contact number is. And so that way, if this happens, then we reach out and say, hey, either you take care of this or we need to come through and do it. So that way we have that information. Okay, cool.
That's it.
All right, sir. I think that's it. Exciting night. I lied. I'm not home before 7.
Almost.
All right. Without further ado, I make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All right. Let's move.